go to the next story here, which is very important and just stunning, but also not stunning. It's just confirmation, I guess, of many things that we already knew. Let's go ahead and put it up there on the screen. The Wall Street Journal broke this massive story where they got access to Jeffrey Epstein's private calendar from 2014. And that calendar alone, just from 2014, shows some of the most extraordinary names in the United States, one of them being William Burns. You may not know who that is. It's the director of the CIA, who apparently, quote, had 3 meetings scheduled with Jeffrey Epstein in 2014. I guess, to be fair to Mr. Burns, he was only then the mere Deputy Secretary of State at the Secretary at the State Department with longtime ties to U.S. intelligence. He actually confirmed the meeting that was shown on the Epstein calendar, one that happened here in Washington, another that happened at his private residence in New York. His excuse was this: he had no idea who Jeffrey Epstein was. He knew that he was connected in the financial sector, and since that he was transitioning out of government, he thought it would be a good person to meet. Keep in mind, this is after Epstein has already been convicted in Florida and is just a registered sex offender. So it takes no more than a Google search. This is where, do you really believe in the era of Google that a Deputy Secretary of State of the United States goes to New York City to a townhouse which is infamous for being a pedophile playground and does not Google the person that he is going to have dinner with? I've never gone to dinner with somebody who I didn't know. I recently went to a dinner party with people who I didn't know, and yeah, I was like, who are these people? You know, I don't even want to be in a sketchy situation. So that's what most normal people do. I'm not the Deputy Secretary of State, and then the current CIA director. Yeah. I was saying this in our editorial call. It almost just takes all the mystery out of it. Yeah. At this point, you're just like, yeah, all right. Like, when you have the CIA director having multiple meetings with Jeffrey Epstein in a single year, by the way. This is the only 1 year that we know about. There could be many more meetings. These are the only ones that you're copping to because they happen to appear in his calendar. What else is left? I mean, this is it, people. Like, it's almost case closed at this. In terms of what he did and how many more people are ensnared, who knows? But this CIA director, it's done. Yeah. It's done.
I mean, his pattern, which comes out very much in this Wall Street Journal report, which, by the way, I am dying to know how they got this trove of documents, how they got their hands on it.
I suspect it came from the U.S. Virgin Islands because we're doing our second segment here in a bit. It almost certainly had to come from them because they have so much access to it.
Yeah, I mean, incredible information because this is all, you know, we've heard all about like the Black Book and whatever. Like these were all meetings that were nowhere to be found in that. So this is new revelations about many people that, you know, we had no idea were associated whatsoever with Jeffrey Epstein. And the picture that is painted by the Wall Street Journal here, which is one that we've seen painted before, is he uses his wealth and the connections that he's already established with wealthy and powerful people to bring more people in and get more meetings and sort of convince them, oh, I'm in the club and I can help you with whatever it is that you need help with. I'm there to, like, you know, fix your, oh, you're going to be transitioning to the private sector? No problem. I'm buddies with Bill Gates. I'll get you a gig with him. You could represent him. This is a specific example, by the way, I'm not making this up, that comes out in these documents with regard to Catherine Rumler, who was a White House counsel under President Obama and had apparently dozens of meetings with Epstein in the years after her White House service and before she became a top lawyer at Goldman Sachs Group in 2020. He also planned for her to join a 2015 trip to Paris and a 2017 visit to Epstein's private island in the Caribbean. Some of the other details here that come out are the way that he would cultivate these relationships, like making sure that he knew what kind of food they liked, and if they're vegetarian, make sure they had that on hand. He made sure, apparently Catherine liked avocado sushi rolls, so he'd make sure that those were ready for her. There were emails, internal emails that they got their hands on too, where he and others are discussing whether because she's a woman, she might be uncomfortable with all of these young women being around. So do we need to make sure that they're not around when she's there, etc. So there was a very explicit project of Jeffrey Epstein to cultivate all of these relationships, find out who these people were, what their likes were, what their dislikes were, what they needed, and as Saagar was saying, I mean, it makes a lot of sense that someone who was involved with one or more intelligence agencies, that sort of information might be very valuable either to this country or potentially to another country like Israel that he has a lot of connections to.
This is my thing. You know, at a certain point, like, let's just all just stop the farce. It's just so obvious, like with the CIA director being met and Bill Gates and the nation's top bankers and JP Morgan and the level of special access. I mean, yeah, look, I get, by the way, also, if you're out there, if the U.S. Virgin Islands or anybody else access to these documents, would love to see them. I would publish them straight up. I wouldn't protect these people at all. Not a single one of them is worth protecting. Miss, Rumler, the freaking White House counsel, but also Noam Chomsky, whose book that we have here on the set, a longtime intellectual, comes out looking real bad in this one. Let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen. Apparently had not only dinner with Jeffrey Epstein, but actually arranged a meeting with Ehud Barak, then the former prime minister of Israel, to discuss, quote, Israel's policies with regard to Palestinians. Mr. Barak, we'll show you in a bit, is long confirmed to have known Jeffrey Epstein. The thing, though, about Chomsky is that he said, quote, when asked about his relationship, he said, first response is that it is none of your business or anyone's. Second is that I knew him and that we met occasionally, okay? And then in March of 2015, Epstein not only scheduled a gathering with Noam Chomsky and Harvard University, but he also scheduled a flight for him. Epstein actually planned to fly with them to have dinner with Woody Allen and his wife. Woody Allen, huh? Interesting. I didn't know why him and Epstein would be friends. And Chomsky says, quote, if there was a flight, which I doubt it, it would have been from Boston to New York, only 30 minutes. I am unaware of the principle that requires that I inform you about an evening spent with a great artist. So, yeah, look, he's done some great work in his life, Noam Chomsky, but doth protest a bit too much.
It lost me on this one.
Yeah.
Lost me on this one. I mean, the first
Why are you getting
response
so
is
defensive?
that it's none of your business.
Yeah. What's going on here now?
I think it's really important to reiterate, too, that these were all meetings that occurred after Epstein was a known pedophile and on the sex offender registry. So, anyone could claim innocence and I had no idea before there was an actual...
Yeah, that's right. Pre-2005. Even then, it doesn't take a genius.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there in another piece, so we're going to talk about, Epstein's relationship with the banking sector. And these executives are joking about his tastes in young girls. So it really reveals, too, that they knew what was going on. Like, this wasn't a mystery. They were, oh, my gosh, I had no idea. Like, please, they knew. But he was very effective at maintaining all of the trappings of elite high society, and I'm in the club, and I'm one of you. And look, if I can meet with Bill Gates, like, who are you to not meet with me? Like, obviously it's fine. And I'm giving all this money strategically, or at least cultivating relationships with various high-profile universities as also another way of sort of reputation laundering and getting him into these elite circles and elite rooms. And, he was able to get to a whole lot of people.
Yeah, I'm really curious just in general about all of this because I've heard this excuse too many times. For example, one of them is the president of Bard College. He says that he went to the room because he presented himself as a billionaire and to thank him for unsolicited donations. And they all have the same story. They said, I found him odd and arrogant. What I finally came to believe is why we stopped contact with him is that he was simply stringing us along. Everybody's basically like, oh, I came to the conclusion that he was full of it. The only person who's count on that I do believe is Eric Weinstein, who's talked a lot about the dinner party or lunch party or whatever that he had with Epstein, and he came to believe he's like, this person is he's a fake. He has no idea what he's talking about because Eric was, know a lot about he worked in the finance sector for a long time, and he's like, I don't believe that you know anything about the purported way in which you make your money. The rest of them, though, I'm not so sure I'm willing to be so charitable here. They're like, yeah, that's why we stopped contact. Maybe stop contact, like you said, because you stopped cutting you a check, or maybe you just remembered that this is a creepy pedophile that we're dealing with
some
here.
of these people, like Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Sorry to keep bringing him up, but
No, you should. I mean, he's one of the richest men in the world. He hung out with this guy dozens of times.
and was getting like marriage advice from him, apparently. You know, he really claimed like, oh, I barely knew him.
Yeah.
And we
no,
barely
you didn't.
And so also some of the representations about, oh, I totally cut off contact because I saw this guy was a creep and I saw he was a fake and a fraud and whatever. Some of those representations have also not been at least the complete picture or wholly accurate as to what the actual relationships were.
Yeah, all of these people are liars. I mean, listen, if you met with him and you did so, if you did so and you really didn't know, then you need to come out and say so at this point, because now you're just going to continue to look like a fool. And, you know, also look, CIA director, just let it sink in. The director of the CIA, the former ambassador to Russia, longtime connected intel official, 3 meetings in a single year. And we're just supposed to believe it's totally chill. The CIA director had no idea who he was having dinner with.
Right.
This is bullshit.
And
like,
the money has always been another piece too, because we know he had this benefactor in Les Wexner, who was the head of the limited corporations like Limited Express, all those companies. Okay, so we know he has that benefactor, but this is a man who presented himself as and lived as a billionaire. Private island, you know, one of the most expensive residences in all of Manhattan, et cetera. And it doesn't add up because he didn't actually really work in finance. Like he didn't really have a lot of clients or anything like that to justify the lifestyle he was able to lead. So it's like, okay, also who was fully funding you? Where was this money really coming from? And, you know, what interest did that person have or that entity have in the information that you were gathering? Because that's what's really clear here. He spent his entire life until that life was no longer, you know, intact.
yes.
Gathering information about the likes, dislikes, and really, in many instances, probably sexual proclivities of some of the world's most powerful, wealthy, well-connected individuals. I'll let you connect the dots as to what sort of entities might be interested in that type of information.
Right. You can also surmise that rich people don't have good taste. Avocado California roll, when you got that much money, come on. Put it up there on the screen that I referenced, Ehud Barak, the former Israeli PM. I've talked about this a decent amount before, who not only met with Epstein many times, almost funded one of his businesses, had entanglements, literally used to stay at his house, but says he never attended any of the sex parties. Okay, all right, I'll leave that to you, allegedly.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.